Welcome to the S&M Podcast with Sean Spencer and Misty Spencer. Real talk with real people, discussing some serious and not so serious hot topics. Let's talk. Hey everybody, it is S&M Podcast with Misty Spencer.
And Sean Spencer.
It is Sean Spencer. And together we are S&M.
And if there's any doubt, I have a birth certificate.
It's true. He's a Spencer. Kind of related to Princess Diana.
Yeah, removed.
So far removed that there's really nothing to the story other than the folklore.
I think it was a seventh cousin or something.
Oh, well.
Crazy like that.
Yeah, I like the story. I think it's a good story.
But that's another podcast.
That is another podcast. Today we are celebrating our 5th episode. Woot, 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 woot. And we are doing why Sean isn't in a band. Yeah. Literally everywhere we go that Sean has been singing, everywhere, and it is all over the world. We've been to Croatia, we've been to South Africa, all over the country, all over the world. And when Sean sings, people come to him and say, "Are you in a band?" And the answer is usually
no.
And then they go, "Why aren't you in a band?" And it's really hard to get into the details of a story like that because it's not a simple answer. And when we try to simplify the answer, it's not good enough for anybody in that short way. So
I think sometimes that's a little alcohol embellished.
Sure. But literally, everybody loves your voice. You have a beautiful voice. You were known around town and other places for singing. And so I am so excited. Let's dive in.
I also do plate spinning.
Oh,
no, just kidding.
I've not seen this. When did you do plate spinning?
I never break a plate.
You never break it. So do you stand in our kitchen like flipping plates around?
I have. I've been doing that my whole life.
Well,
even my mother's good china, by the way, never broke a thing.
Well, have you ever in our home done plate spinning? Yeah. And I've missed it.
Yes.
Jeez.
I purposely don't do it when you're around because I know it would probably bring you great anxiety.
Probably. Well, and that's what happens when you're a night owl and I'm a day walker.
Wow.
So, all right, we're getting in it.
All right.
Sean, why aren't you in a band?
I'm too old. No, I think, as you mentioned, the reason isn't very simple. It's a compounded kind of reason. And, I didn't really know the answer until more recently in my life. But, I was always musically inclined. My mom got me into piano lessons, I think, when I was 2 or 3. So piano lessons, until I was a young adult in classical music. And even beyond the piano lessons and whatnot, I did play trumpet in middle and high school. Did
it come to you naturally?
It was a lot easier to learn because I already knew music theory and how to read the treble clef, which is, in a piano and a bass clef.
So for me, I've tried that music theory learning thing, went to school and the whole stuff, right? It's hard for me and my brain doesn't do that. So did it come easy to you to learn music theory and apply it?
No. In fact, it was very difficult. Being dyslexic, you have all kinds of things jumping out at you and twisting and vibrating and whatnot, primarily when I'm tired. And of course, I was playing 4 sports and piano lessons, and so I was always tired.
Mm-hmm.
So the dyslexia was certainly more prominent back then.
If it was hard, what drove you? And I don't know the answers to these questions. I haven't asked them. What drove you to work so hard to learn music theory?
I loved music. Absolutely loved it. I grew up with it around me, all different genres, and I just loved music. And even before, I started singing, I was always writing poetry, which music lyrics, for those who don't know. But it was a difficult thing, but I drove as hard as I could. That's the only speed I have ever known. So after that, stayed in piano and trumpet through high school. In high school, I was actually dared to enter the high school talent show, and Oviedo High School, that's where I went.
Woot woot. What was your mascot so we can give it a shout out?
We were the Oviedo.
Well, we might need help with this one. Continue.
Wow.
It's fine.
That just escaped me.
We'll figure it out. We're just not going to figure it out now, but it'll be up on the screen if you watch our video podcast, Oviedo. We're not sure. All right, continue. So you're in high school and you're not a singer. You're not in chorus. You're not a part of theater. You're not working in singing at all. And you get dared.
Yeah, well, I have a few friends that knew I played piano and knew I wrote music, and was singing the lyrics, the poetry, whatever I was writing, and they knew what I had, and so they dared me. They, I think $20 or something like that to enter the talent show, and back then $20 was
a lot of money in 1991.
That was actually 1989.
Oh, you're how old?
I was
10th grade,
16 or just 17.
Wow,
I can't remember exactly.
So not
when.
even like a senior in high school. Oh, this is fun. I thought you were older. See, this is why we're doing this. So you get dared by your friends, and you accept.
Absolutely, I wanted the money. So I took the money, and I entered the talent show. They wanted me to do a song that I had wrote or written. And piano was wheeled out on the stage in the auditorium, and the entire, auditorium was filled with people. And I sat down and I played my song.
Wow, you played an original song.
I did.
It's the first time you've ever sang in public in front of people that. Obviously, you sing in a car with your friends.
Sure.
Obviously, we sing if we're hopping around the beach or we sing at a dance or whatever. I'm talking about I am getting on a stage and I'm singing. Very first time you've ever sung in front of people that way.
Never have I ever sung in front of a group of people.
With a piano.
Including people that I probably didn't know, other family members that go to different schools or, whatever, parents that I'd never met.
With a piano.
The piano and a microphone.
And you sang an original song. Man, literally, this is the most frightening thing on the planet to me. I can speak on stage. Singing on stage is touchy. Absolutely not creating on stage like you did. And so what happened after your performance?
I remember the judges were from other places. They weren't associated with the school. Maybe one of them was, but I got a standing ovation. And they write their scorecard or however they did it, and ended up winning
that is amazing.
in my category. So
and let's be honest, were you like the most popular dude in school after that?
Well, it certainly,
or more popular.
It certainly didn't, boost me to the top, which is no place I'd want to be anyway. I got along with everybody. Didn't matter what you were, goth, jock, musician. Didn't
Well,
matter,
you're
you
a
know,
chameleon. You have that
Yeah.
ability. I'm a shapeshifter. It's why we move.
It certainly made
through
it known.
crowds easy.
Yeah. It made it known that I could sing, and so I think people would stop by and hey, I heard you at the talent show. Great job. Da, 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 da. And a lot of people weren't there. So
Hearsay.
yeah. And so after the talent show, I was approached by a band and to join the band and be lead singer. So I said yes, and we practiced and practiced and practiced a lot.
Wait. What was the name of your band?
We didn't have a name at that point.
Oh, no. What'd you end up naming the band?
Infinity.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was my choice or one of the other guys' choice.
I think it's amazing. You're a kid. These are kids. This is not like a 30-year-old man doing this.
It's like
These
17 years old.
High schoolers,
16, 17.
and that's still a child. It's a kid. That's amazing that you were like, okay, so we're in a band now. And then what happens?
Never done that before.
No.
Yeah.
Just going to be in a band.
So we put together a nice set. Back then we're talking Journey, Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, Poison.
Really easy songs to sing,
Skid Row.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of
those are up high
tenor
singers.
vocals going up there.
Yeah. And
so we put a great set together. Battle of the Bands came around. And it was, I think, 5 or 6 bands at the time that entered, and so they all set up at different parts of the lunchroom, which was enormous. And each band took their time. They did, I think, 4 or 5 songs, and it was you had to buy tickets and put your ticket in the box in front of the band that you liked the most.
This is a fun time in high school. I went to high school around the same time. We don't really have that nowadays. We have such structured programs. Back then, that was kind of like how they structured music, extracurricular music, is by these band battles, and it was a good time.
Definitely. It was always pumped up and very exciting.
For just natural, organic music to grow, like the garage band style.
So we did Battle of the Bands. Again, 5 or 6 different bands played. All of them were great. But at the end of the day, the count came in, and there were more tickets in our box, Infinity's box.
Ooh, Infinity won the Battle of the Bands.
Yeah, and what we won was a 6-hour session over at Full Sail.
Full Sail, we love you. Full Sail's been around in Orlando. If you're not local, Full Sail, even when I was starting out in college here 29 years ago, it was such an amazing place for the misfits of the world and your nerds and your music nerds and all of the people that are thriving today. 30 years ago, it was kind of a struggle. And Full Sail was just a great place for us to go and meet a lot of cool people. And it still is that today.
Well, it's a little bigger today.
Oh, it's expanded.
When we recorded, I think we were over in Altamont Springs off Douglas Road, and they pulled up a music studio RV.
Oh, wow.
And so we're in this space setting up, and this technological, music beast rolls in, and we plug in, and that's how they recorded us. And back then it was reel to reel.
Wow.
It's not digital recording, but yeah, it was an awesome experience.
And they're still around today.
We wrote a song called Distance to record, and it is an epic tragedy.
I think they're great.
It's over 6 minutes long. There are more guitar solos in it than any should be allowed in a song. There were more vocal high notes held for infinity than there ever should have been.
Though it's good driving music, or it's good like cleaning music. If you're in for a long
funeral music.
No, I think it was so, I don't know, part of the times, that sound of the times, but also those big singers. You said Journey, Steve Perry, Aerosmith, Boston. You have all these really big singers at the time and Sebastian Bach, that you were listening to and seeing that you could match them. Steelheart, oof. I don't know that anyone can match Steelheart. I'm going to be honest. I love your voice, and I think you're up there.
Well,
but Steelheart,
he's a beast, still a beast.
Yeah, he just hits these notes, and so we had a lot of influence at that time of these big voices and these long, drawn-out notes,
big power ballads,
and you were matching that, and then you were seeing how far you could take it.
Sure,
and that's what really made you stand apart.
Yeah, there weren't too many guys out there at the local level that were true tenors. And beyond. So
it's still like that out on the local circuit, great singers everywhere.
Amazing singers out there.
Yes, still. Yes. So after the
Battle
Full
of the
Sail,
Bands and then the Full Sail. Yeah.
Where are we?
We are now in probably the end of my junior year, maybe the beginning of my senior year, and this is a crazy story. I swear this is true. My grandmother goes to a festival that they called Light Up Orlando way back when.
They still have Light Up Orlando.
Do they?
Yeah, they do.
I haven't heard of it since.
Yeah.
And I live here.
Well, and we've been to it. We took the children there many, many years ago.
Did we?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
It's down on Orange Avenue and the things across the streets, and there's the Lake Eola. Anyway, Light Up Orlando. Check it out.
Yeah.
Go.
So one of her favorites from way back was the late, great B.J. Thomas. And those of you who are not familiar with him, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head.
Raindrops keep falling on my head.
Right. Somebody Done Somebody Wrong song. Hooked on a Feeling.
Hooked on a Feeling.
Yep.
Yes.
And so many more. She somehow got backstage and on his bus.
Well.
On the bus. And handed him a cassette tape at the time of my recordings.
That is incredible.
And they worked out a deal for me to go on tour and sing backup vocals for him. And so obviously at that age, I was very, very exciting. So I was still in high school, so I couldn't do anything until summer. So then I took summer to tour. And I mean, we were just everywhere, all over the country, into Canada. And
he went on tour with B.J. Thomas. I just want to stop us for a second and accept and acknowledge that you, in your life, went on tour with B.J. Thomas. That is a fantastic accomplishment.
Well, I didn't accomplish it because I didn't do anything to get there.
You sang.
Well,
your voice got you there.
Fine.
Just because you handed off.
And a very convincing grandmother.
Well, she was a belly dancer. So
Another podcast. But to have that opportunity because of your voice, he didn't even meet you yet, you know, and was captivated. That's a songbird. Yeah.
So B.J. Thomas, you're on tour.
Yeah, I go from Orlando to Fort Dodge, Iowa. Never heard of it. Landed and was picked up by a limousine driver guy, and we left down a 2-lane road with nothing but corn stalks as far as you could see in every direction.
You freaking out a little bit. You're 18 years old and you are driving in the middle of nowhere with some dudes and
children of the corn.
Cornfields. Yeah, I would not be in there. I wouldn't have been
It's in
there.
every horror movie.
Yeah. So you are driving out in the middle of nowhere to do what?
To go to a world-class recording studio. BJ Thomas was, I think, re-recording, remastering his greatest hits album. And that's where I was going to meet him. So, and we were there for a few days. And best white corn I've ever had.
And what he remembers from that experience is that corn was amazing. So you record in the studio. Do you sing or you get to watch?
I'm not singing in the recordings. No.
Oh, okay. So you get to kind of see how that all goes.
Yeah.
You're on tour. You sing with other people.
Yeah. And it was...
Or backups or...
Right. So, did a lot of big festivals and whatnot. So there were a lot of different artists there. And the ones that were, probably within a couple hours from performing would show up and get to meet them, talk to them. I mean, I got to meet the Righteous Brothers, the guys from Alabama. Let's see, Clint Black, and the Platters, the Coasters, Paul Revere and the Raiders.
What a really cool experience for somebody who is just now getting into music, and you're kind of like splashed in the face.
Yeah, I think
that's a fast ride.
It's a very fast ride
because you had just started that venture, and
now I'm tossed in the middle of the actual working machine.
So fast, and you're by yourself.
Yes,
nobody's on tour with you as far as like family or anything like that.
Right.
You are
it's just me.
You're
and
on
the band
tour, and you're
and BJ.
18, and you are literally
17. The first time.
Surviving. So you go on tour.
It wasn't difficult to survive.
No, you had a good time.
It was a great time.
Yeah, there it is.
It was a great time. I swear. But it was also a very difficult time. That was a time where my depression from abandonment had really kicked in hard, and then of course you take me out of my environment and into environments that I'd never been, which is a lot.
Surrounded by men.
Surrounded by
in our last issue or last
surrounded by
episode.
men that are 2 and 3 times my age.
Yeah, and you don't trust men.
And 4 times.
At all. That's part of your abandonment issues. And you are literally on tour with a bunch of men that you don't know.
Right.
That are caring for you.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, certainly. I still could wash behind my own ears. But
or get a nice female to do it for you.
No, that never happened. Not behind the ears.
Well, there's groupies out there. So you're on tour. It was lonely. Tell us how you got out and what you did after that.
Yeah, so it wasn't just one tour. It was many tours over 3 years, and especially after I graduated, I could do multiple tours, not worry about high school. So it just, the constant grind, just constant repetition. When you're out with a guy who wasn't really writing any new music, and you're doing the same songs over and over again for years, really was in my opinion, a path to nowhere. And so I just soaked up the experience for what it was. Really fought hard through depression. I didn't win. But there were some really great times, met some amazing people. And
then what do you decide to do?
I decided to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a long drive home. I had driven up on the last tour, I'd driven up from Orlando to Nashville, or Hermitage, and left my car there for that particular tour. And so I ended up flying. The last show was in Seattle, And so I ended up flying to LA for an overnight and then catch a plane to Orlando. I missed my plane. I thought I had set my alarm, but I didn't. So that was a little. That was my first. And no, I'm sorry. That was not the last tour. That was my first tour that I missed the plane, and I was 17, and I'm like wide-eyed going, what do I do now? You learned
from that plane ride. But so you go home. Do you decide to pursue a career in music now?
No. I decided to go to school, college, and work.
Why didn't you pursue a music career? Because that's really what all of this is lining up to.
I have two reasons why I didn't. One that I've known all along, and one that I've more recently kind of figured out. The one that I've known all along is the depression. It was just the being on tour. Yeah, you're with a bunch of people, but you really don't have anything in common because you don't have anything. You know, you're a kid basically, and you have abandonment issues, and you're with a ton of men, right? Yeah, and it was just no commonality because of the age difference, you know, and they all were doing their thing, and I was doing mine, and there was just I didn't fall in love with it. Yeah, it was a great time. It's like maybe going to Ibiza. Which I've never been, but But you keep singing, so you decide not to do a music career, and so you start singing the karaoke circuit. Yeah, actually, it literally just started in Orlando when I got back. Not because I got back, but around that time. Karaoke did become popular around that 90s. The early 90s, yeah. Yeah, early to mid 90s. Karaoke started becoming the fun thing to do with your friends instead of kind of like that back alley or Japanese restaurant place. Exactly. So karaoke, you hit the circuit, and it was just what you needed. I actually was at Wet and Wild the very first time I saw something that said Star Search on the side of a building. It was actually a hotel. And it was the lounge for one of the hotels. I think it was the Howard Johnson Hotel back then. Anyway. Hojo. Yeah. And so my cousin and I went home, got dressed, and decided to see what Star Search was about because of the show. I had auditioned for the show previously, I think in chronological order. That was before touring. Left out, Sean. He tried out for Star Search. Yeah. Made it to the finals to get on TV and did not. I got beat out by a guy doing great. I'm sorry, not a guy. I was the guy. I got beat out by a kid doing Great Balls of Fire, and he came out sliding across the stage on his knees. I deserved to lose. Yeah. Say, I hope you learned something with your performance. Yeah. You're like, I'm just not singing anymore. And I also learned to never do an original song for an audition. No. So you go to karaoke, and this it hits your stride. You're able to use your voice. And through the years, did you ever think about starting up a music career? No. It just never appealed. I loved, through depression, you're always chasing that feel-good moment. And so I'd go out and I'd sing karaoke 5-6 times a week and feel good. And so I liked the attention, sure. I knew what a lot of that was about because I'd been on tour for 3 years and got a real good education. So when I came back to Orlando, once that groupie thing faded away, started happening, I knew exactly what it was. Yes, you started and that is another podcast. We're going to be talking more about that kind of stuff on our S&M After Dark, because it dips into other kinds of instances and events that we've had in our lives. So as we near the end of our episode 5 podcast, I do want to say that at the time that I met you, and I thought your voice was amazing. My parents had seen you sing, and I think I said it on a different episode, and I came
and I'm not
Was it
easily. I got him. Well, and that's why this is not for kids. And oh, geez, or there's family. Sorry. And so we've been married a long time. I'm blushing. So
that's okay.
Oh, and I lost it. So I would see you sing, and then it would be, I'm not really easily enamored by entertainers. It's just not something.
Which I loved.
Yeah, I love people. I see people the same. I actually see entertainers and athletes, performers. I see them as the ones that are most used up by our society for entertainment, which is why they're so depleted. So many of them are so depleted as humans. And I'm blocking the camera because it's passion. I'm so passionate about it because I see the world eat them alive. And you felt that happening to you a little bit. I think that's a real thing.
Certainly in the condition I was in at that time.
Yes, and I'm just not that person. And so we were a real good match for each other. I didn't sing karaoke so much before I met the karaoke group. It was like Black Angus and Katie's karaoke. Katie still does karaoke at post time. Whoop, whoop. And the Whiny Wench. We just live eternity from there, but we'll come see you, Katie.
Promises.
I promise. And so when we started doing karaoke together, we had a really good time. It was kind of like a nice splash in our relationship.
Definitely.
You knew I didn't really... I didn't love singing karaoke. I do like it now. I do like performing, and it lends to what I do for a living now, but meaning event hosting and speaking. But I do feel like it was fun for us to do it. And I also said I would never really be with somebody who was an entertainer traveling all the time. And
lucky me.
Yeah, and so it was just a nice fit for us because you still got to perform. And then you lost your voice. But that is another podcast.
It is.
We'll talk about that another time. And Sean struggles because we are done.
And I'm not alone. I know there are people out there, musicians, and you don't have to be a vocalist to lose the ability to play your instrument.
Yeah.
And so when you do, it's like losing a part of your soul.
Yeah.
Even if you're not doing it professionally, but it is a passion of yours.
It heals your soul. It does something to you and for you. And so we are going to talk about that. However, our next episode, Mr. Spencer, episode number 6.
Already?
I know.
Wow. Time is flying.
It is, but it's been so fun. And speaking of fun, I'm so happy that you guys have been listening, the support. Look at the credits at the end of the video podcast. There's some nice little Easter eggs in there. If you haven't been watching the video podcast, please, please, please go check them out. They're a lot of fun. They're on our YouTube channel. And go check us out. So SandMPodcast on YouTube. Our next episode number 6, is the fall from alcohol. So the fall from alcohol. I tried to do all these weird effects. It didn't turn out as I thought, but we're keeping it.
Absolutely.
You got to witness that, me trying to do stuff.
Yeah, it's cheap. Ryan Reynolds coached us how to do this cheap.
Oh, that was a nice, fun little plug. We don't know him, but I'd like to. Hi. Let's chat. So with that, we hope you have been enjoying our episodes. Please tell us if there's anything you need, anything that you see, feedback. That's what we're here for. And we will see you next week with the fall from alcohol. High five, Mr. Spencer.
Woo, Mrs. Spencer.
And we'll see you again. SNM Podcast.
Peace out.